Hello, friends, and welcome to our Sunday streaming services. If you're with us on YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and subscribe to get notifications when we have new videos. If you're with us in the sanctuary, hello down there. And if you are with us in Zoom, drop a hi in the chat. We would love to say hello back to you. And if this is your first time here, go and sign our guest book at oakcliffuu.org/guest. I love how many different ways there are for you to join us. This is really exciting. All right, today, Sarah Ricke will be honoring the coming of spring with Ostara, the light of spring. Speaking of spring, the spring parish meeting is on May 15th, so mark your calendars for that. As a reminder, if you want to be a voting member, if you would like to vote in the parish meeting, you have to have filled out a pledge form for this year. I know you thought I was done with pledge forms, didn't you? You thought you wouldn't have to hear about it again until November, but here they are again. If you would like to vote in the parish meeting, then fill out a pledge form. If you've already done it, you're good. If you haven't, go to oakcliffuu.org/pledge2022. And if you have any questions, you can email admin@oakcliffuu.org. All right, remember that recent auction that we had? So successful, so fun. Some of you have not picked up your stuff. If that is you, and spoiler alert, that is me. I was writing this and I was like, oh, people haven't picked up their stuff yet. And I realized there is one item that I never picked up. So if you are like me and have not picked up your auction item that you won, go ahead and email fundraisers@oakcliffuu.org. And you can communicate, you can figure out a time that y'all can get that for you. I'm like my mom. All right. This Tuesday, March 15th, the Texas UU Justice Ministry, Side with Love, and the Trevor Project are having a political education webinar on combating anti-trans legislation. This is an important topic to a lot of you. It's an important topic to me. It is a very, very important topic for our church. So if you want to join us, then please do. You can register at the link right here, and I will post it on Facebook for you as well. But very good stuff, so consider joining us for that. All right, we are at the point of the announcements where we talk about the e-blast. Everything you need to know about the goings on in the church are in the e-blast. News on our feral kitties are in there this week. Info on today's board meeting. There's a lot going on in the board meeting. There's a link for that. It's at 3 o'clock today. Workday Wednesday updates in there. Widening the Circle of Concern is in there. That group is a great group, and they are doing so much. Lots of good work and necessary work to bring our church forward. So yeah, go check all of that out in the e-blast. If you haven't signed up for it, I'm sure Scott has a link right here for where you can do that. You can find a link on our website. Or email anybody else to help you get signed up for that e-blast, especially Scott. All right, it is Sunday, so we have talk back after the service at 11:15. You always get something out of it, whether you come to listen or to talk. No pressure, so join us for that. We also have adult religious exploration at 1 o'clock. They are doing science fiction and religion and philosophy, and Sarah Ricke runs that. So if you like today's service, if you like Sarah, you might want to join that. Just mention it in the chat and somebody will provide you with a link. All right, there are no member anniversaries, so it's time to get on with the service. I hope that you all have a very happy Sunday.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff. Thank you for having the curiosity and the courage to join us. We welcome you, whoever you are, whatever spiritual tradition, gender, age, race, sexual orientation, or background you may bring to our community. We hope you will find here comfort, connection, challenge, respect, and above all, love.
The element of fire represents passion, veracity, authenticity, and vitality. If the chalice is the supporting structure of the Unitarian Universalism, then we are the flame. We are the flame fanned strong by our passions for freedom, our yearning for truth-telling, our daring to be authentic with one another, and the vitality we sustain in our meeting together. In all of this, there is love.
Our Souls Speak Spring by Evan Carville Zeimer. If we lived in another climate, our souls might speak other languages. We might speak oasis or permafrost, dry season or monsoon. But our souls speak spring. Our souls speak green shoots pushing through last year's leaves. Our souls speak flower buds stretching to sun. Our souls speak mud puddle and nest building, damp earth and worm castings, tiny green leaves and frog choruses. We speak spring because spring sings in us. We gather to nurture our faith in our growing, our own courage to push through, our own blossoming in beauty, our own small part in the spring of this world. Come, let us worship together.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, come again, love. Come, yet again, come.
Because we love one another, we honor each individual spiritual journey. We celebrate life's abundance and service to each other, our community, and the world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together.
And now in Spanish. Porque nos amamos unos al otro, oramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y aceptación. Así que hacemos pacto.
You are not alone with your sorrows, just as I am not alone with mine. Our covenant of right relations makes this so. You and I are bound by our promise to commune. In community, the burden of a heavy heart is shared. A burden shared is a burden lightened. At this time, we invite you to publicly post your sorrows and prayer requests to the Zoom chat or send them to our Facebook Messenger.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
This Sunday, like every Sunday, we affirm our promise to one another. Our promise makes clear the call to celebrate. For that, which brings you joy, makes you grateful, brings you peace. We, your sacred community, celebrate. We celebrate together and magnify joy, heighten gratitude, and spread ever-increasing peace. Please share your joys publicly in post the Zoom chat, or send those to our Facebook Messenger, or speak those aloud.
Spirit of light, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirs of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff on this beautiful winter morning. Yes, despite the warmth, it is still officially winter. It's a fickle and fleeting season here in Texas, but it's not spring just yet. We have one more week to go. Next Sunday, for those of you who don't follow the cycle of the seasons, is the Vernal Equinox. It's the official start to spring according to the solar calendar and a very important holiday in several religions. In the Hindu faith, it's Holi, the festival of color. In Japan, it's Shunbu no Yi. In Christianity, we have the verdant green of St. Patrick's Day just before, and the equinox itself heralds the countdown to Easter, which is always the first Sunday after the first full moon following the equinox. And in modern paganism today, the holiday is celebrated as Ostara, named after the Germanic goddess Eoster, the goddess of the dawn. But what is the equinox and what makes it important? The vernal equinox is considered the beginning of the season of spring. I'm sure you all remember from science class that seasons on Earth are caused by the way our beautiful blue planet is tilted on its vertical axis as it orbits around the sun. The northern and southern hemispheres run opposite to each other in terms of seasons because they are tilted in the opposite directions. Winter is determined by being tilted further from the sun, and summer is when that hemisphere is tilted closer. There are points during the calendar year when the Earth is tilted at its furthest points that causes the extreme length of night or day, depending on whether it's summer or winter. These days are called the solstices. One of our most important holidays, Yule or Christmas, is celebrated on the winter solstice, at least if you're in the northern hemisphere. In places like Australia and New Zealand, Christmas is actually a summer holiday, which makes the differences in cultural celebrations of this solstice holiday entertaining to say the least. But in addition to the solstices, the days of greatest differences between night and day, we also have days with equal amounts of light and dark. These are the equinoxes. There's one in autumn on September 21st, and one just around the corner in spring on March 21st. Combined with the summer and winter solstices, these 4 days are the calendar demarcations officially separating the 4 seasons. The vernal equinox, Ostara, is the official beginning of spring. There are many ways to celebrate Ostara, and a lot of them will look very familiar. This is because, as I mentioned earlier, there is a coinciding Christian holiday, and it has stolen a lot of the imagery and decoration of Ostara in the Roman Catholic Church's attempt to overtake the old pagan holiday with their own. And I'm talking, of course, about Easter, with the Easter Bunny and those delightful egg hunts so many of us grew up on. Rabbits and hares are important symbols of spring in a number of traditions. Spring is the rabbit's mating season, and one of the few times in the year the normally nocturnal animals are seen throughout the day. But it's not just their presence in spring that's so important. It's also their fertility. Ostara, being an earth-centered holiday, is all about the fertility of the earth. And rabbits are the ultimate animal that represent fertility. In one of the myths that survive of Easter, the holiday's patron goddess, the rabbit, her sacred animal, plays a central role. According to the story, the goddess of spring arrived upon the frozen earth only to find a bird trapped by the winter ice that still clung to the land, its wings frozen to the ground. Moved by the poor creature's plight, Easter transformed the bird into a rabbit to save its life. Off it hopped, but as it had been a bird, the rabbit still had the ability to lay eggs. And so it did. It laid beautiful eggs with bright colors and rich designs. Grateful to the goddess for its rescue, the rabbit returned to Easter and presented the beautiful eggs it had laid to the goddess of spring and dedicated itself to her. The egg, of course, is another powerful symbol of spring, with this myth being only one of many to explain it. In nature, we see birds laying eggs and newborn chicks running around in this beautiful spring season, just as we see rabbits coming out to frolic and play. Both are potent symbols of new life, and new life, and the renewal of life, is what Ostara is all about. That the Roman Catholic Church later had to add in the rebirth of Jesus Christ onto this holiday, and still couldn't overpower the goddess's holy emblems, is a testament to how important the holiday was and is. So when you celebrate Ostara, look to these symbols and these traditions. Maybe feature a roast rabbit for your holiday meal, or at the very least, something with eggs. And of course, you can always go the fun route and decorate the eggs before or after. I have fond memories from my childhood of dipping hard-boiled eggs in coffee cups filled with dye the day before Easter. We'd pile the dozens of eggs in a bright color basket, put it in the center of the table, and as kids, we were allowed to snack on them all day long. Whatever was left over at the end of the day would be turned into another one of my favorites, the egg salad. Plastic eggs are just fine for this holiday too, especially if you're going to do an egg hunt. Filled with tiny candies, they're reminiscent of the treasured eggs offered to a Ostara by the rabbit. Flowers are, of course, another important symbol of spring, and they spring up in the footsteps of many powerful earth goddesses. After a long, cold winter, with Persephone secluded with her husband Hades in the underworld, the earth goddess Demeter celebrates the arrival of her daughter Persephone, the goddess of spring, back to the earth by blessing all the plants that have begun to grow as the season rises. In ancient Greece and Rome, this was a time for planting, and Demeter would spend all of spring blessing the fields. If you've been with the Unitarian Universalist Church for a while, you know I usually do the Samhain service here at church, which coincides with Halloween. In pagan traditions, it's considered very ill luck to harvest any crops after Halloween. In the same tradition, it's considered very ill fortune to plant crops or gardens before Ostara. Spring is the promise of light and life, and the green earth needs these blessings to thrive. So planting a garden, or at least a few pots of herbs or flowers, is another great way to celebrate Ostara and the renewal of the earth. And this last symbol of spring, flowers, leads me to another particular holiday, unique to the Unitarian Universalist tradition, that I am currently missing very much. And by this, I mean the flower communion. Traditionally, we celebrate the flower communion by gathering flowers and bringing them to church to share on our altar. Together, we bless the flowers and we all share them, taking a blossom different from one that we had brought. The Flower Festival is meant to reestablish our community ties, to renew our faith in humanity, and to celebrate our first principle, the dignity and worth of every human being. With the church still officially in a pandemic, I cannot share flowers with you today, as much as I wish I could. But if you will allow me, I would like to combine a little bit of Ostara and a little bit of the flower communion. I would like to combine our first principle, the worth and dignity of every human being, with our seventh principle, the respect for the interdependent web of existence. I would like to renew a little bit of your faith in humanity as we celebrate the renewal of the earth. Because without the earth, we are nothing. Celebrating the renewal of our planet is the most important aspect of Ostara. And it can be hard, especially as a pagan, to celebrate the earth when we're bombarded with terrible news constantly of pollution, environmental exploitation, and climate change. But as part of the celebration of Ostara, as part of the celebration of the flower communion, I want to share with you some of the good news that's happened in the last year. I want to share with you some of the progress that humanity has made. Despite his predecessor's bombastic inclinations, the United States has officially rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement under President Biden. In addition, he has appointed Congresswoman Deb Haaland of the New Mexico's Laguna Pueblo tribe as the Secretary of the Department of the Interior. She is the first Native American to hold that position and the power it carries over the natural resources of our nation. It's especially significant considering that a joint study out of the Glasgow Climate Change Conference has established that one of the best ways to promote and secure conservation efforts around the globe is to give power and authority back to Indigenous peoples. Also in good news for the environment and Indigenous people, the Sioux tribe of Standing Rock have won their battle against oil companies. After long and bitter protests, the Dakota Access Pipeline has officially been canceled. Outside the US, Peru and Ecuador are looking into what's being called the Amazon Sacred Headwaters Initiative. It's been presented by a coalition of Indigenous activists in the two countries and aims to protect up to 80% of the Amazon rainforest within their borders. So far, both governments have been very interested. And there are numerous reforestation efforts taking place around the planet, with estimates that by 2030, the Earth's tree cover will increase by over 30%. Australia has established new marine protected areas around the Christmas and Cocos Islands, and together the new marine parks are twice the size of the Great Barrier Reef. Ecuador has also expanded the Galapagos Marine Park by over 23,000 square miles, and it has also received a pledge of $43 million to a conservation fund to restore the Galapagos Marine Park. The humpback whale is back from the brink of extinction. After the catastrophic commercial whaling industry, various conservation studies have shown that the species has recovered to over 90% of its pre-whaling population. It's gone from less than 500 individuals to over 20,000. There's good news from China too. Following the Glasgow Climate Conference, the Chinese government has announced it will no longer build or finance coal-based power plants. And it's also announced that its conservation efforts of the iconic giant panda have paid off. With intense breeding and reforestation efforts, the giant panda, while still listed as threatened, is no longer considered endangered. All around the world, conservation efforts are growing in momentum. Ecotourism is blossoming, and humans are investing more and more in giving back to the earth. All of these efforts to renew the planet gives me hope for the future of our sacred earth, and it renews my faith in humanity in the same time. And I also hope that it renews yours. Blessed be and happy Ostara.
Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna. 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 Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. To make an offering or your pledge, please go to oakcliffuu.org/donate and follow the links.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
Flower Communion Blessing by Amy Zucker Morgenstern. Each of us is a flower, with a delicate beauty uniquely our own. We may be like sunflowers, always turning towards the light. May our lives bloom like the flowers. We may be like night blooming Sirius, only displaying our fragrant petals when it's dark and we think no one can see. May our lives bloom like the flowers. We may be hothouse flowers, far from our native lands, cautiously tended within a harsh and unfamiliar climate. May our lives bloom like the flowers. We may be gray-headed like dandelions, eager to launch the new generation with the first strong gust of wind, past our own bright youth, but ready to pass our wisdom on in precious gossamer-carried seeds. May our lives bloom like the flowers. Some of us sometimes spring up overnight and fade in the hot glare. May our lives bloom like the flowers. Some of us sometimes are roses, slowly assembling petal after tightly wrapped petal and revealing our full glory only when everything is in place. May our lives bloom like the flowers. Sometimes we are roadside weeds, loveliness bursting improbably from the dust and debris. May our lives bloom like the flowers. May we offer our beauty with the simplicity of flowers, expecting no recognition, hoping for nothing, giving out of what we are and knowing it is enough. May our lives bloom like the flowers. Amen.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And now in Spanish. Encendimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevamos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.